Just as they're making preparations in the evening, who comes? But Devrishi Narada. He suddenly appears, the king is... Now remember, this is Satya Yuga, this is not Kali Yuga. And in Satya Yuga, the gods and goddesses do come down to earth, this planet earth. Now, Maharaj Indradumna is overcome by joy, washes his feet, gives him asana, and says, "Oh Lord, what brings you here?" Then Devrishi Narada says, "Yes, Lord Brahma has sent me here, because when he came to know about your sankalpa, holy sankalpa, he says that you must go down and guide Indradumna on this great noble mission, so that's why I'm here." So Maharaj Indradumna then says, "Oh, now my mission is fulfilled. When you are there to guide me, I cannot fail in my mission, so please welcome." And then they spend the night together doing satsang, and the next morning they leave. A lot of people from the kingdom leave along with the king, and there's a big Raj going in the south easterly direction towards Jagannath Puri. They cross, they come to the borders of Odisha, they come to Ekamrakanan and the Mahanadi, and when they are in the Mahanadi river, they're pitching tent. The king of Utkal Pradesh, in the Shastra it is written as Udra. Somewhere Udra, somewhere Utkal. The king comes and prays and bows down to Devrishi Narada, and then bows down to Maharaj Indradumna. After all, he's heard about Indradumna, who is the paramount ruler. Indradumna asks, "O king, how are things going in your kingdom?" Then the king of Uttara says, "Look, things are not good. We do not know why, but there is famine, and there is this thing and that thing, disease, and I do not know what's happening, but you're welcome, and I will lead the way." So the king of Uttara leads the way and escorts Maharaj Indradumna to Purushottam Dham. Now when they reach Purushottam Dham, Devrishi Narada says that, "Look, now I have to reveal the secret, because the king does not know that the Lord is no longer here. And but now that he will go up the mountain and he will see the Lord is not there, so I might as well tell him right now." So in Purushottam Dham, Devrishi Narada reveals the truth to the king. "O king, the Lord whose darshan you are seeking and for which you are here is no longer there in Purushottam Dham." When Devrishi Narada reveals this truth to Maharaj Indradumna, Maharaja collapses, loses his consciousness, and probably would have passed away or something. But Devrishi Narada, through his divine power, revives him and tells the king, "O king, please have patience, because I have been sent here by Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma has told me that you must perform 1000 Ashwamedha Yajnas, and then through your devotion, your austerity and penance, the Lord will reappear again. Lord will re-manifest again to shower mercy on you and upon the world. So he will appear, please have faith." Now this gives once again assurance and confidence to the Maharaja, who says, "All right, if you say so, after all you are saying it and Lord Brahma's directions, it will happen. I have fully believed in you, and so I will do as you say." Then Devrishi Narada says, "Let's go up on the sacred Nilachala Parvat and at least have darshan of the place where the Lord is." So they go up and have the darshan of the place, and then they explain, Devrishi Narada explains the Mahima of Lord Madhava there. And then they come down and they start performing the Ashwamedha Yajnas, 1000 Ashwamedha Yajnas. And mind you, this is Satya Yuga, so according to the directions of Devrishi Narada, all the gods and goddesses are invited, all the kings and queens are invited, and a huge yajna takes place, Ashwamedha Yajna, and this happens near Gundicha temple. How many of you have been to Puri? Okay, you know where Gundicha temple is? Okay, that's where the lords go there during Rath Yatra, they go to their birthplace, because that's where they manifested. Somewhere near about that, a huge Ashwamedha Yajna takes place, and the king and queen, now it is said the queen's name was Gundicha, that's how the name Gundicha came, that's what the theory is. But in the Shastra there is no mention of the name Gundicha, but some versions are there saying that the queen's name was Gundicha, that's how the temple is named Gundicha. So the king and queen perform the Ashwamedha Yajna and everything goes on nicely. And as the Ashwamedha Yajna is coming to an end, in the Brahma Muhurta, Maharaj Indradyumna in his seat of meditation has darshan of Lord Lakshmi Narayan in Vaikuntha. And then next morning he tells Maharaj Devarshi Narada that I had this vision. He said, yes, the time is coming close. So now 1000 Ashwamedha Yajna is completed. As it is completed and having finished everything, the staff, all the workers of the Brahmins, they are having bath in the sea. Suddenly they find a huge tree glowing like a pinkish reddish glow floating on the water. It suddenly appeared. They come running to the king. Say, "Oh king, we see this very extraordinary sight. We can't understand what it is." Devarshi Narada says, "Oh king, the time has come. Let us go to the seashore." They go to the seashore and find this huge tree floating. Where the end is, they cannot make out, but the three big branches on top. So the king says, all right, the Devarshi Narada says, okay, now let's get the tree out of the water. They try to get the water out of the water, they cannot do it. Then the divine voice says that get the Savaras who were earlier there. They are there, they still are there, the descendants, bring them. And they will also join in and bring the tree out. So the Savaras are invited, they also join in and the tree comes out. And according to Devarshi Narada's instructions, it's placed on a pedestal. But then the problem, none of the craftsmen can do anything out of the tree. They can't worship a tree. They have to carve out a lovely form of Lord Vishnu, whom they have to consecrate, pratishtha, and then they worship. That is the Vedic tradition. But that is not possible, because none of the craftsmen, their instruments are not making any dent on this divine tree. Then there is a voice, divine voice, saying that, O king, an old man will come. You allow him to do the job. The king then waits. By and by, an old person comes, says, "O king, please allow me to do the job." The king says, "Yes, we have been waiting for you. Please go ahead." Because I have no other way, because none of my craftsmen can do anything here. They have all failed. All the craftsmen, the best craftsmen have failed. So please welcome. But the old carpenter says that there is a condition. You have to cover up this place. No one is to see. No one is to go inside. And you have to play some drums and all that outside so that no one has to even hear what's going on inside. And no one is to disturb me. The king says, "No problem, please go in. Cover up the place." The old man is there. They have some drums beating. Days pass by. 15 days have gone by. And then suddenly, when the drums are not beating, they hear that there is no sound inside. Then they get worried. Well, 15 days have gone by, and this old man, neither did he take any food or water inside, nor have we given any food or water to him, and he has never come out. And there is no sound now. So this doesn't look good. So the queen says, no, we have to open it. Something may have happened. So they open. When they open, they don't find any old man there, no human being there, and they have a darshan of Lord Jagannatha, Balabhadra, Subhadra. Now, he appears in a bear form. Then there's a divine voice which says that you have to put these various sacred things on us before allowing darshan. The king does exactly that. And then they have darshan of Lord Jagannatha, Balabhadra, Subhadra, exactly in the same way as we have the darshan of the Lords in Jagannath temple in Puri now. Exactly in the same form. Now this is a strange form which the Lord has taken. Now we need to wonder why and how the Lord took this form, really. Now if we try to find an explanation, we really will not find anything on our own. But if we look into the Shastras, we get explanation. Now some people say that because in 15 days time you open the curtain, the job was half done. That is not true. That is not true, because the Shastras do not say that. And also there is another reason which I will just tell you what is written in the Shastras. You see, all the murtis in our temples all over the world is made by some craftsmen out of some material of this world. It's either wood, or it is metal, or it is clay, or it is some picture, some painting. But that is not how it happened here. Here what happened was this: the tree which manifested in the Shastras, it is said, it is a part of the Supreme Lord himself. It is said a part of Lord Vishnu's hair appeared as the tree, manifested as the tree floating in the water. So it's nothing other than a part of Lord Vishnu. Then the old carpenter who came was not a human being, it was a manifestation of Lord Vishnu himself who went in. So it was Lord Vishnu making himself out of himself. Just think of this. The Lord making himself out of himself by himself. So this was a divine manifestation, and therefore we cannot say that it is incomplete. Okay? So it is how the Lord desired to manifest. And to understand this manifestation of the Lord, the best thing is again to go back to the scriptures, and there we find statements like this. In the Sutara Upanishad, there is this sloka, very famous sloka, Apanipada Yogano Grahita, which in English would read like this: He, the Supreme Being, is without hands, feet, and yet moves and grasps. He sees, though without eyes. He hears, though without ears. He knows whatever is to be known, and of him there is no knower. They speak of him as the first, the Purusha, and the great. Similar sloka we find in Kaivalya Upanishad, Apani Pado Ham Achinta Shaktihi, which in English would read as, I am without hands and legs, of incomprehensive power. I see without eyes, hear without ears, devoid of all forms. I am knowing everything, and there is none that knows me. I am ever pure knowledge. So if we read the Upanishad and also the Gita and also the other scriptures, we will know that the Lord is all forms. He is also without form, and He is beyond the form and the formless. So it is something that our minds cannot comprehend. Our minds cannot reach. Our senses cannot reach. And in the Upanishad there are shlokas also that Indra went, Vayu went, Varuna went and could not recognize him. Okay? So here therefore the Lord has appeared in a form which we really cannot understand. He has a form, and yet it is something which we cannot explain. We can all explain in our own way. You take 100 Udiyas and ask them, each one will give his own interpretation. Each one is correct, and yet he is beyond all that. So we will see about this a little later. Now, let us proceed with the story. We'll come back again to this spiritual esoteric aspect a little later, when Lord Brahma then explains to us who Lord Jagannatha is and why he manifested in this form. We will have patience to wait a little longer. Let's go ahead with our narration. Then what happens? Devrishi Narada says, well, the Lord has manifested. Now please build a magnificent temple to the Lord. So Maharaj Indradyumna sends out his instructions, an invitation to all the kings, and all the kings come with all the resources, all their manpower. They build a beautiful temple for the Lord in the same place where the present temple is standing, and that, my dear friends, is the first temple of Lord Jagannath ever. That was the temple, Sri Mandira, built by Maharaja Indradyumna. And when was it? In the first Manvantara, and in the Satyuga of that Manvantara. And that temple was 1,500 feet high. The present temple is only 214 feet high. That was in Satyuga. So the temple is built. Now what to do? Now Devrishi Narada says the time has come and I need to go up to Brahmaloka because no one other than Lord Brahma will come down to install Lord Jagannath. That is what Lord Brahma has instructed me. So I have to go up to invite him and tell him that everything is done. So please descend. Then Maharaj Indradyumna immediately does Sashtanga Pranam to Devrishi Narada, says, oh Lord, please take me with you. I would like to go and personally invite him because I am the Karta after all. Then Devrishi Narada says, look, in this human body, how you can go to Brahmaloka? But then Maharaj Indradyumna is so fervent in his prayer that Devrishi Narada cannot refuse, and he says, all right, I will take you up. So he gives him special powers and both of them go to Brahmaloka. Having reached Brahmaloka, Indradyumna is shivering all over, he's scared. Lord Brahma calls him, and then of course Lord Brahma knows everything, and he says, "Oh my son, you have come, so I am very happy. So you go down and make all preparations, and Devrishi Narada will go with you, and he will help you make all the preparations. And when everything is ready, I will come down." And in the scriptures it is said that Indradyumna Maharaj is actually in the line of descent of Lord Brahma, just like Devrishi Narada and the Sanat Kumaras. So Devrishi Narada and Maharaj Indradyumna come down. Now when they come down, what has happened is that probably one Manvantar has gone by. Because the time of Brahma, one eye flicker of Brahma means one yuga in our planet, in our universe has gone by. The time dimensions are totally different. So what has happened? Indradyumna's kingdom is gone. Because another Manvantar has come. His children has gone, everything is gone. And this big temple which he built is covered with sand. And there is another king there in Utkal, his name is King Gala. And one day what happened when Indradyumna is not there, King Gala riding his horse strikes something sharp. He gets down and sees something metallic. He opens the sand, sees a huge spire, a chakra, calls all his people, take out the sand and finds this huge temple of Maharaj Indradyumna there. And the temple is empty. Now it's all forest there. And this King Gala does not know about Lord Jagannatha over there near Gundicha temple. So he brings his own little Madhava and places it there and starts worshipping in this temple. Now when Indradyumna comes down with Devrishi Narada and sees Gala over there worshipping, and of course King Gala, then when he comes to know it's Maharaja Indradyumna and he's heard of Maharaja Indradyumna's glory, and then Devrishi Narada is there, he hears from Devrishi Narada that actually this temple is made by Maharaja Indradyumna and the lords are waiting there for being installed here. So then King Gala surrenders to at the feet of Maharaja Indradyumna and Devrishi Narada and says, "Whatever you need, I am there to completely serve, and I am so happy that this is happening." So then Devrishi Narada instructs Maharaja Indradyumna, "Now you prepare 3 huge chariots and bring the lords from the place of manifestation." It in the Shastra is given as Mahavedi. So Gundicha Mandira, this temple was built now, but then it was known as Mahavedi, Antarvedi or Mahavedi. That's where the lords had manifested. So bring the lords on the chariot and bring them from Mahavedi to this temple. And this, my friends, was the first Rath Yatra that ever happened. Because mind you, before this manifestation, the Lord was present there as Madhava. And when he was present there as Madhava, he was not known to mankind except to Visavasu. So obviously no temple, no worship, no Rath Yatra. In the first 50 years of Lord Brahma's life, the first 50 years is known as Parartha. In the second 50 years of Lord Brahma's life, Lord Jagannatha will remain in Purushottam Dham in this wooden form, and Rath Yatra will keep on happening. And so many Chaturyugas will come and go, so many avatars will go, but Lord Jagannath will remain as he is now. Because he is not an avatara, he is the avatari. So the lords are now brought to the temple in the chariots, and that's when Lord Brahma descends. He comes in his Vahana with his Airavata, and then goes up to each chariot and again invokes the Lord on each chariot. And on each chariot, his prayer to Lord on each chariot, to Lord Balabhadra, to Devi Subhadra and Lord Jagannath is fantastic. You must read the scripture here. Now I will see how you can get the scripture. It has been now published by the Jagannath temple, the correct version. We will see how you can get it. It is there in Odia language now, and it's in 2 volumes. And the Hindi version is going to be probably released during this Rath Yatra. We will try to do that. And then shortly the English version also. So you must read this Skanda Purana where all this is given. These prayers are really very powerful prayers to the Lord. So here you can see Lord Brahma praying to Lord Jagannatha. And then the Pahandi Vijay takes place into the Jagannath temple. And Lord Brahma carries out the worship of Lord Jagannath. Lord Brahma himself worships Lord Jagannath in the installation ceremony. And then at the conclusion of the worship, Lord Lord Brahma chants the Mahamrityunjaya mantra and touches the body of Lord Jagannath. And then what happened? Something very extraordinary happens. The three images you see of Lord Jagannath, they become one integrated image and a very fierce image of Lord Nrsimha. A very fierce looking Lord Nrsimha with Seshananta Balaram behind and Devi Mahalakshmi, Subhadra Devi taking the form of Mahalakshmi on his lap, trying to appease him. And the Chakra Sudarshan having taken the form of Chakra. And there's like fire coming out and the whole earth, planet Earth starts shaking. It's such a fierce sight. And Maharaja Indradyumna and everyone present there start shivering. Of course, Lord Brahma and Devrishi Narada knows what's happening. But everyone starts getting frightened and then Maharaja Indradyumna prays to Lord Brahma, "Oh Lord, what is this? We are all frightened and we're scared as if the universe is coming to an end. So please make the Lord go back to his previous form, his peaceful form." Then Lord Brahma chants some more shlokas and the Lord resumes his previous form as Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra, and Subhadra and Sudarshana. Now Indradyumna asks Lord Brahma, "But what was this that we saw? Why did the Lord take such a fierce form?" Then Lord Brahma now tells the secret who this Lord is. Now please follow very carefully. Now this is the real identity of Lord Jagannath in the wooden form. So Lord Brahma is telling Indradyumna, this is found in chapter 28 of Skanda Purana. Lord Brahma says in the English translation, "Thinking it is a wooden image, O preeminent king, let there not be the idea in you that this is a mere image. This is verily the form of Supreme Brahman, Parama Brahma Akriti. As Parama Brahman takes away all sorrows, Khandanat Sarva Dukkhanam, and confers eternal bliss, Akhanda Ananda Danataha, therefore he is known as Daru. Therefore he is manifested in the wooden form because he removes all sorrows and confers eternal bliss. According to the four Vedas, therefore, the Lord is manifest in the form of Daru, sacred wood. He is the creator of the entire universe. He has also created himself. Now if you go back to the story, the old carpenter creating the Lord, here it is now made clear by Brahma that the old carpenter was none other than the Lord himself. So this image that you see is created by the Lord himself. So how can we say that it is an accident? How can we say it is half done? No, it is the Lord completely manifested as he wanted it, not as Maharaja Indradyumna wanted it or like someone else wanted it, but as he himself wanted to manifest. Then Lord Brahma goes further and says that, look, this is what the Lord is. The Lord, and this Lord Jagannath, pervades all forms. Sarvam Rupamaya Hesha. Means all the forms of gods and goddesses we worship are none other than Lord Jagannath himself. We may worship him as Durga, we may worship him as Lord Shiva or anything. But they are all his forms alone. When he put all the forms together, it is Lord Jagannath. It is Purushottama. And he permeates all mantras. Sarva Mantramaya Prabhu. All the mantras we chant in all the religions of the world are his mantras alone. And they ultimately go to him alone. Because he is the Supreme Lord. He is not an avatar. From him come out Lord Rama, Lord Krishna, Lord Ganesha, everything, Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, they all come out from him. In whatever way he is worshipped by anyone, maybe Hindu or Saiva, Vaishnava, Ganapatya, Shakta, or Muslim or Christian or Buddha, Jain, Sikh, anyone. Accordingly does he confer fruits on him, O king, just as well purified gold, when shaped according to one's choice, gets this or that name in this world, and brings about this or that satisfaction, O king. With such glory the Lord has become manifest here. So this is an example Lord Brahma is giving. This is a very famous Vedantic example given in the Vedas. The gold is one, but the one gold becomes many when we make necklace, when we make bangles, when we make anklets. And when they become a bangle, we give it a different name, we give it a different shape, and it has a different purpose. So on and so forth. But essentially, it is gold. From gold it has come out, and when it is melted, it will go back to become gold. So all the gods and goddesses that we see here are nothing but a manifestation of this Lord that you see here, Lord Jagannath. He is the essence from whom everything has come out, all the gods and goddesses, and this entire universe. Everything is nothing but a manifestation of that fundamental, essential truth principle, the reality. And when it all dissolves, all the gods and goddesses, and the entire universe goes back to Him. So this is the real glory of the Lord. With such glory, the Lord has become manifest here. So one thing, my friends, we have to be very clear that Lord Jagannath is Paramatma, Purushottama, Parameshwara, Parambrahma. He is not an avatara, but He is the avatari. He is the Supreme Lord who is worshipped by the Christians as Father in heaven, who is worshipped by the Muslims as Allah, and so on and so forth. And we worship Him as Lord Shiva, Lord Ganesha, Devi Durga, Lord Vishnu or Lord Krishna. It doesn't matter, it is the same Lord. However, for our Sanatana Vedic Dharma, the Lord has taken 4 forms. So, Lord Balarama is representing the Shaiva Parampara. Lord Devi Subhadra is manifesting or representing the Shakta Parampara, means Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, Kali, Durga, and so on and so forth. And Lord Jagannath is representing, manifesting the Vaishnava Parampara, Sri Krishna, Rama, etc. And Lord Brahma, who is not worshipped except in 1 or 2 places, in Pushkar is worshipped, we can say is represented by the Sudarshan Chakra. So, when you put all the 4 lords together, he becomes Lord Jagannath. When you say Lord Jagannath, we mean the Chaturdha Vigraha, all 4. All 4 become one. If you remember, the tree from which the lords are carved is one tree. Not that 3 trees appeared in the ocean. It is one tree which appeared, and the one tree with 3 branches, mind you. And the one tree was carved into Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra, and Sudarshana. So it is essentially one. So let us proceed with our narration in the scriptures. Then what happens? Devrishi Narada says, O king, don't miss this chance. It's a golden chance. Through your penance, through your devotion, and the Ashwamedha Yajnas you performed, the Lord manifested. So seek, ask the boon that you have been seeking. The Lord will not refuse you. Ask anything, and the Lord will grant you. Right now, this is the time. So what did King Indradumna seek? He only sought, O Lord, I only seek pure devotion at your lotus feet, and how I can please you, how I can serve you. Now my friends, this is really the prayer that each of us must have before the Lord, not how my daughter is going to get married, how I am going to get my next promotion. We don't go to the Lord with all this material shopping list. You think He does not know. He knows you more than you yourself, because He is in the core of your being. In the innermost core, He is yourself, and He knows you better than you know yourself. So, but if you seek His devotion, then His grace will flow, and when His grace comes, everything that you want comes along with it. Because in reality, everything we get is ultimately final analysis coming from the Lord Himself. So this is what in the Maharaja Indradumna asked, and this is the true seeking of the devotee. The parichaya of the true devotee is when he is seeking nothing but the grace of the Lord, when he is seeking nothing but the seva of the Lord, when he is seeking nothing but pure devotion. This is what he seeks. And then, of course, Lord Jagannath, it is said, Murti Uvacha, the Lord Jagannath, even though he's taken a wooden form, starts speaking. And he says, oh, King Indradumna, of course I am very pleased with you. You have pure devotion already. Otherwise I would not have manifested. And now if you want to know how you want to serve me, this is how you can serve me. Now Lord Jagannath starts giving him the total agenda, the total menu. From morning you have to wake me up at this time and give me this prasadam. Morning to night, the entire routine the Lord then gives to Indradumna. And then throughout the year, these are the yatras you have to perform to make me happy. So Rath Yatra, Sran Yatra, Dod Yatra, this Yatra, that, Jhulan Yatra, all these yatras. The Lord himself gives that direction to Indradumna, and it's all there in this Kandi Purana. So Indradumna is very happy. But then the Lord says, yes, and I will say something more. That this temple which you have built for me may demolish, may go in time, but I will never leave this place, even if this temple goes. Many temples will come after this, and that will all go to your credit, because you are the original Sevak, Adi Sevak, and you started this tradition, it will go to your credit. That is the tradition of Adi Sevak which we are following now. Many kings have come. No, let's proceed ahead. So then, this is what the Lord has said, and this is what Maharaja Indradumna did. Many, many years that he lived, he spent all his time serving the Lord, following his instructions, doing the daily rituals, fixing up a big hierarchy of sevaks, and all the seva puja he does, and all the kings come and worship the Lord, and the yatras, the Rath Yatra, the Snan Yatra, all as per the Lord's directions he fulfills there in Purushottama Dharma. And when he feels that now my time has come, I must go up. Now remember, he's gone to Brahmaloka and back. So he says he's now empowered, so he can go back to Brahmaloka, and he wants to go back to Brahmaloka. But before that, he passes on the job to the king of Utkala, King Gala at that time, and he says that you must see that all this is carried on endlessly, perpetually, because the Lord will remain here. This is his promise. So now, this brings us to an end of the Puranic Katha. Now, this is the great tradition of Odisha, that all the paramount kings who came recorded in history and not recorded in history because it is very ancient. This is what was passed down from dynasty to dynasty. So many dynasties came, and whichever was the paramount sovereign dynasty of Utkal, Kalinga, Utkala, Olra as it was known, took over the responsibility of looking after the temple, looking after the Lord, carrying out his ritual, and propagating his dharma. So that is how the tradition came. And now if we come to our history now, we see that the Jaina Dharma also came subsequently in the 5th century BC, and their worshippers also accepted Lord Jagannath and worshipped him, Lord Balabhadra as Samyak Jnana, that is perfect knowledge, Devi Subhadra as Samyak Charitra, perfect conduct, and Lord Jagannath as Samyak Drishti, perfect vision. And one of our great emperors in Odisha around the 1st, 2nd century BC was King Emperor Kharavela, who had a very large empire going all the way up to Magadha. And as you know, in the outskirts of Bhubaneswar, we have this cave dwellings, Khandagiri Udagiri, which was the abode of the Emperor Kharavela. And before that, it was the place of the rishis who were doing meditation here. So very hallowed place. So the Jaina king also was there in Odisha, and Jaina Dharma was very, very popular, very, very prevalent there. And they also accepted Lord Jagannath and worshipped him in their own tradition. Then around this time also we had Lord Buddha, and he came shortly after Lord Mahavira. And two of Buddha's 5 principal disciples, original first and foremost disciples, were from Odisha. They are merchants from Odisha. And therefore Buddhism also came to Odisha in a very big way. And all the way from the time of Buddha, that is the 4th century, 4th or 5th century BC, till the 6th, 7th century BC, AD, Buddhism was well established in Odisha. Many viharas were there, and they worshipped Lord Jagannath in their own tradition. They worship Lord Jagannatha as as Buddha, Lord Balabhadra as Dharma, and Devi Subhadra as Sangha. So they also accept Lord Jagannath in their own tradition. And in the Dasavatara panel in Jagannath temple, the panel in front on the Singadwara has been now removed. But there is a panel in Jagamohana where you will still find the ninth avatara as Buddha avatar. Now, during the time of the Emperor Ashoka, which is 2nd century BC, there is the famous Battle of Kalinga, which takes place in the outskirts of Bhubaneswar. The king's name we do not know. It was probably Shishupala Gada, which was his seat. He's a very powerful king. To have such a great battle with Ashoka and to change his heart, so many people died. There was a change of heart. That's when two Buddhist bhikshus came and converted Chanda Ashoka to Dharma Ashoka, and that was this great land of Kalinga, which brought about this change of heart of Ashoka, and Buddhism then spread through the efforts of Ashoka to the Southeast Asia and all the way up to Japan. And it is said the sacred Danta of Buddha, tooth-rectal relic, first came to Purushottam Dhampuri, kept there for some time, and then sent to Ashoka. 200 years after that, or 300 years after that, we have Jesus Christ. Now the recent scholars, they have done a lot of research, and they have discovered that Jesus, during the 13 years when he was absent from the Middle East, it was spent in traveling to the east, and the destination was Purushottam Dhampuri. Now these are some publications, you can see this. Now you'll, at the end of this talk, you'll get a small booklet. Is the booklet ready? Is the booklet here? The tradition of Lord Jagannath. Well, if it is not here, then you'll get it tomorrow. You'll find all these details here. You can get these books on the book in the from Google Baba. You can get it. Okay. So the first book you see, Unknown Life of Jesus Christ, that actually spilled the beans. Now, Notovich was a very well-known Russian traveler who was traveling in the Himalayas sometime in the end of the 19th century. He was traveling in Ladakh, and he reached Hemis Monastery near Leh. And the Lamas, they told that, look, your Isha came here. Oh, it's in this form? Okay. Your Isha came here. Do you know? Said, no, impossible. How could Christ, who is there out there, come here? No, it's true. Then he got the Pali manuscripts and showed him and translated it to him. He quickly went back and published this book. Of course, the Vatican refused, said that it's all nonsense. But he was a Russian, he didn't bother, he went and published it. And this was published, and it was banned in Europe, but it was found in USA. So when Swami Abhedananda, who was Guru Bhai of Swami Vivekananda, traveling to USA at that time, beginning of the 20th century, he finds this book written by Notovich, reads it, he's amazed. How can Christ come here to India? But he goes back, when he goes back to India, he immediately travels to the same monastery, Hemis Monastery, and the Lamas show him the same manuscripts, and which his assistant quickly translates into Bengali, and that book is published and it's available in the Ramakrishna Mission. And he says the same thing as Notovich. Now Notovich we may believe, may not believe, but we cannot disbelieve what Swami Abhedananda has written. And then the next book, Aquarian Gospel, is very interesting because it is written by a Christian father, Levi Dowling, I think somewhere in Chicago. And he says he gets it from Akashic record, from astral source, in meditation. It's a revelation to him. And that is very interesting because he says that the Prince of Odisha, traveling to the west, finds a young boy in the temple in Jerusalem speaking words of wisdom with the rabbis. He gets amazed and he tells the boy, come with me to the east. Because this knowledge which you're talking about is there plenty in the east. You come, the young Christ is there. So then the king, the Prince of Odisha, goes to Joseph, carpenter Joseph, the Jesus' father, and convinces him. The father gives permission, and Jesus travels to the east. This is what the other books, Nicholas Roerich. Roerich is a famous artist who finally passed away near Shimla. He's got his ashram, Manali, between Manali, near Manali, Kufi. He's got his ashram. So he also writes the same thing. And then the last two books, this is an American scholar, Prophet, and this is the European German scholar, Kirsten. They also did a lot of research and found these are the books, you can get it, these are the books which are there. And the last two books which you see, the last years of Jesus and Jesus, the American and the European scholars, they traced Jesus' travels, and you will see the destination is Jagannatha, which is India. It's amazing. And it said, and especially in Dowling's books, Levi Dowling books, the 3 years Jesus spent in India learning the Vedas. Then he went to Rajgriha, which is a place of Buddhist learning. Then he went to Banaras, which is a place of Advaita Vedanta. Then he finally went to Kashmir, which is a place of Kashmir Shaivism at that time. Of course, the Christian church will not acknowledge this, but these are the findings of the scholars. But it's interesting. Now, what I would like to say that Christ came to Puri and worshipped Lord Jagannath. So we will assume that at that time there was no restriction about the entry of non-Hindus there. Otherwise Christ would not have come. So now the Christian influence, and then of course Adi Shankaracharya's visit. Now this is well recorded in the Madala Panji. Madala Panji is the temple chronicler. Now it is said that when Adi Shankaracharya came, he did not find Lord Jagannath, Balabhadra, Subhadra in the temple. Not this temple, there was an earlier temple which was in dilapidated condition and the Lord's missing. So he told the king then was Jagati Keshri of the Somavanshi dynasty, a previous dynasty, that look, where's the Lord? You must find the Lord because this is a holy place. Now Adi Shankaracharya knew the glory of the place. So the king sends his messengers and then finds the Lord are hidden in Sonpur, Suvarnapur in central Odisha. So then it is known that 144 years before that, there was an invasion, which the then king of Odisha could not stop, could not prevent. And so they had to take the lords away to this central Odisha and hide him in a cave in dense forest. And then the lords remained there for many, many years. The Sevaks could not hear anything, no message from the king. So they dug a big hole in the ground, put the lords there, planted a small boragacha, a banyan tree, and then went away. How many years they can keep on there when the king is not sending any message? 144 years have gone by, and now Jagannatha Keshari's messengers finally locate the Sevakas from nearby villages, grab hold of them, bring them, and then they take them to the place. The tree has become a huge, the little plant has become a huge tree. They dig, find the lords there, bring the lords to Puri, and under the directions of Shankaracharya, they resume. A new temple is built by Jagannatha Keshari, and they resume the worship of Lord Jagannath there by holding the first Navakalevara in recorded history. That was done in the time of Adi Shankaracharya. And Adi Shankaracharya resumes the traditions and the Seva Puja and the festivals, everything is resumed. And establishes the first Matha, the Govardhana Pitha in Puri. And therefore the Puri Govardhana Pitha becomes the Guru Pitha for the tradition of Lord Jagannatha. The Shankaracharya is the final religious authority, the highest religious authority for the tradition of Lord Jagannatha. He is for Sanatana Dharma also, but more specifically for the tradition of Lord Jagannatha. And so Lord Adi Shankaracharya worships Lord Jagannath in his own way. And then we have the time of the Ganga kings, about some. Now the time of Adi Shankaracharya is debatable. The modern scholars fix it around 8th, 9th century AD, but the records in the Shankaracharya Pithas, particularly of Puri, shows that Adi Shankaracharya's advent was not in 7th, 8th century AD, 8th, 9th century AD, but sometime in the 4th, 5th century BC. Now this is a matter of debate. However, then we come to the 12th century, when the Ganga kings, Somavanshi kings have become weak, and Odisha, Utkal kingdom is taken over by the Ganga kings who move up from northern Andhra Pradesh. Their capital was Srikakulam at that time. They move up, they become the sovereign powers of Odisha. And the Ganga king, the first Ganga king here, Chodaganga Deva, he finds the temple dilapidated and builds the present temple. So the construction of the present temple starts sometime in the beginning of the 12th century and ends sometime in the end of the 12th century. Started by Chodaganga Dev and probably completed by his successor, Ananga Bhimadev II. So this temple is built now. It is the last in the series of temples. And then we have all the different acharyas At this time, this is the time of Sri Ramanujacharya. So when this temple is being built, Ramanujacharya is visiting Puri, and he also advises the king how to go about the rituals and all that, and some Vaishnava traditions are introduced. So Ramanujacharya is the founder of Vishishtadvaita school, and they also worship Lord Jagannath in their own way, establishing their own monasteries in Puri. They established 17 mutts in Puri, this Sri Ramanujacharya Sampradaya. Then, so shortly after that, we have Nimbarkacharya, who is the founder of Dvaita Advaita School of Vedanta, also visiting Puri sometime in middle 12th century, and he also establishes a mutt, and his disciples worship Lord Jagannath in their own way. This is the time of Jayadeva's Gita Govinda composition, the famous Bhakta Kavi Jayadev lived around this time, in 12th century. And this is shortly after that, there's a huge temple of Lord Jagannath constructed in Cuttack, in Baravati, because mind you, the headquarters of the Gajapati kings was Cuttack, not Puri. Puri was always the spiritual and the religious capital, but the political capital at that time was Cuttack, Baravati, and so they had made a huge temple of Lord Jagannath in Puri. And unfortunately, that temple is no longer there because sometime in the 14th century, the Afghan king of the Delhi Sultanate, Firoz Shah Tughlaq, he had heard about the glory of Lord Jagannath, and their program was to demolish all the